Hi guys. So today I will be working on the transactions, meaning that the user will be able to send money from one user to the other. So I started with creating a new struct transactions which holds three pieces of information: the from ID, to ID, and also the amount. I also created two new functions that take the save transactions and the send to. So firstly, I started with adding the send to functions, which takes in a username and an amount. And first, what we have to do is we have to check if the user has enough money to actually send it. So we check if withdraw is equals to false. Well, then we just say that you can't do this. You don't have enough money to send. There's also another check, which if we have to check if the username even exists, and that's what I'm doing here. Otherwise, I will just search it. So what we have to do is we have to find an ID with that username, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm actually very thankful for all the functions I did in the file class, because this makes it really easy. And then once we deposit it into the other user's account, we will just save the transaction. Now I also forgot to add a transaction constructor, right? Because we have to have that to save the actual values to the struct itself. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. Now the function, the save transaction, is very similar to how we save the actual user info. Now I will be saving this in a new txt file, right? I will just call it transactions.txt because I want to keep as much as I can organized. Alright, and yeah, now I'm gonna be working on the main menu, right? So I'm gonna have to add the send to function, which is it's case 3. I added it after the deposit function, and this is pretty similar to how the other functions do. We just ask for a username as well as an amount. And now we just do current user dot send, and that's basically everything that we have to do. Now in our file class, I will actually be adding another function called getTransactions, and for this we need to include a vector class. Now what a vector is simply as a list in C#. So it's not a fixed size. The difference between for example here, a vector and an array is that we have to declare the size on an array, but we don't know exactly how many transactions it's going to be in the first place. So that's why vectors are so good. Anyways, what we just do is we loop through the file, and if the current line is equal to line to find, which is the from ID, so it takes in an ID. If that is true, we will just create a new transaction and add the ID, from ID, to ID, and the amount, and we will add it to our vector array. And then what we just do is we return this vector. And now in our main menu, again, case 4 is going to be the one that we actually see all of the transactions. Here we also have to make sure to include our vector, and we're going to call the get transactions right after we create our current user. Now what we have to do is first we have to check if the size is equal to 0, because that means that there is no transactions, so we don't have to display anything. Otherwise we will just display it in a bit of a nicely manner, to be fair. So we're just gonna print out the necessary information. All right. And we can see if we log in. Okay, I mean I sign up actually. Please enter username to send, so it asks us nicely, and you can see that it works, but the transactions page didn't really work because I forgot actually to save the from function. So yeah, that was kind of my fault. I kind of missed it, but it should work now. Anyways, I want to take this moment, just hit that subscribe button. All right, please. Or like it, or do whatever you want to. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Anyways, here you can see that the transaction is being saved, and if we view the transaction, it shows us the due ID and also the amount. And that's basically it. So thank you so much for watching. The next video is gonna be hopefully the last video I make about Bank Manager, where I will mainly work on the security. So basically like saving the password in like a hash function and so on. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you